Thank you for staying with us. The Supreme Court has affirmed Abdullahi Sule of the All Progressives Congress as the elected governor of Nasarawa State, dismissing the appeal filed by David Ombugadu of the People's Democratic Party. Recall that the Election Petitions Tribunal had sacked Abdullahi Sule and declared David Ombugadu candidate of the People's Democratic Party, winner of the March 18, 2023 election. But the appeal court reinstated Governor Sule and held that the tribunal wrongly relied on the evidence of 8 of the PDP witnesses whose statements on oath were not front-loaded alongside the petition. This victory means a lot to the All Progressives Congress and the people of Nasarawa State. But joining us from our Abuja studio is the governor of Nasarawa State, Abdullahi Sule. Good morning and congratulations on the Supreme Court's affirmation of your status as the duly elected governor of Nasarawa State.
Thank you very much. It's my pleasure.
Now, talk to us how much of a distraction this was before the Supreme Court, came up with that ruling or decision.
Well, first and foremost, I think for every state where there is such a case, it's a distraction. It doesn't matter how you look at it. We tried as much as possible in Nasarawa State to remain focused and continue to do our work. We continue with all our projects. We kept commissioning our various projects. We kept working with in the empowerment of the programs. We kept following on each one of these. However, no matter how you look at it, it will continue to be a distraction, and that's what it was. But we thank God it's all over now, so we can focus 100% and move on.
Well, the victory came, and there was some element of jubilation in the streets. There was also some protests in the streets. Well, what I want to know is your own personal response. What kind of butterflies were flying inside you? We know somebody expresses butterfly in the southeast, dancing, all kinds of dance. I don't want to mention the name of the governor who showed us a dance move. What part of your body was dancing during this this celebration? I know you are very quiet. You tend to be unflappable, but something must be dancing inside you. What was it?
Well, I don't know, Sam, if anything was dancing inside me. But one thing is certain, I became more composed. I had always been a little bit confident because starting with the tribunal, well, I was declared by the INEC, in February that I was the winner of the election with 347,000 votes against 280-something thousand votes. So, and then I had all the noise and everything, and then we went to the tribunal. And what even gave me more confidence was that the 3 judges at the tribunal couldn't even agree themselves. So it's 2 of them that said I lost the election. One of them wrote a very comprehensive judgment and said we won the election. And he gave his reasoning. Based on reasoning, we became even more confident that we were the winners of the election. By the time we got to the Court of Appeal, and then we had 3 more experienced judges, and all the 3 of them said we won the election. I said, okay. So we actually went into the Supreme Court with a lot of confidence. So you can imagine now there were no much butterflies in me as far as that is concerned. And that's why the amount of work we did, in the state between the period of the appeal court to the period of the Supreme Court judgment, you will see as if there was zero distraction. The major distraction we had was not necessarily because of the case, but what more because of the distraction from the women who were appearing on streets, naked, because they were misled and they were informed that another party won the election. And, most of those people were illiterates. So they were causing so much distraction. And I tried as much as possible to contain the APC supporters, not to engage them in that. That was more of the distraction than the case itself. You know, but as I said, I thank God, you know, it's all over. So there was no dancing, no part of my body actually was dancing. If there was, it was at the appeal court, not necessarily at the Supreme Court.
But, Mr. Governor, when you look at the entire stretch of this particular cycle of election, it's your second term now. How would it rank in terms of how fierce the opposition was, even, you know, from the campaign to the election and now having to slug it out at 3 levels of the judiciary? Would you call it your fiercest political battle yet?
Well, since I had only 2, yes, it was worse than what happened in the year 2019. In 2019, you have to understand the nature of our politics in Nasarawa State. In 2019, you know, we had His Excellency Labaran Maku in APGA. Then we had the same David Ombugadu in PDP, and then, of course, myself. We were the 3 frontline candidates. So again, I won with about 331,000 votes, about the same amount of votes. And then the 2 of them together won about 300,000 votes. One won like 180, one won like 120. You know, so now it changed. The 2 of them got together and they formed an alliance. You know, so with the alliance now, you know, you will see that I was going to face, you know, those with 300,000 votes against me with 330,000 votes. But that is not the bad part. The bad part was because religious and ethnic angles were introduced into the politics. You know, some people believe, you know, because at the presidential level we had disrespect for one faith. Therefore, you know, people use that and capitalize on that. And some people bought into that gimmicks, especially in our state. And that's the reason why at the presidential election, you know, APC came second and PDP came third. We actually beat PDP during the presidential election, but Labour Party from nowhere, you know, because it was the leading party with a Christian candidate. They won the election. You know, so that's what happened. So our elections in Nasarawa State are usually, you know, direct at the candidates. It's a candidate's election. It's not necessarily party election. People don't pay attention to party. And the reason why I can tell you that is because even though Labour Party won the presidential, they did not win any House of Reps and they did not win any of the Senate seats. You know, so that's the nature of our election. So yes, it was more fierce, especially when within the APC itself, we had a little bit of our own problems here and there before we got together to win it. We tolerated all the insults, all the propaganda, all the lies. We must tolerate them in order to get along. Since we were at the forefront, you know, we were leading. We said, forget about them, don't worry about them. So it took me a lot of effort to contain our people, not to respond to all the propaganda, all the lies, and all the intimidation.
How were you able to address the matter of the crisis that was rocking the party at the time to really pull the strings and garner the numbers you got during the elections?
Sorry, I missed you there. I say, how was I able to do what?
You talked about the fact that your party at the time had issues leading up to the election. And I am asking how you were able to, despite the crisis, pull the strings and still, you know, get the ticket at the end of the day.
No, as for the ticket, we didn't have any problem at the primary level of my election.
Talking about the election, how you were able to garner the support from within the party to ensure you won.
We worked. Before 2019, I was not in the political space in Nasarawa State. And, but between 2019 and 2023, we worked. We did a lot of work for the state, and a lot of people had seen the efforts that we put in. We did so much to the point where even the civil servants came together for the first time in the history of the state for the entire civil servants union, the NLC, the TUC, you know, NOSIS and the ASU and the rest of that to all come together and said they were going to support me, you know, because of what we had done for them. So we did a lot of work in education, in health, in infrastructure, mining aspect, employment, you know, we did so we did so much to the point where the people felt comfortable that they were going to do that. If not for the few problems that we have had, it would have been a landslide election. You know, you will be talking of nothing less than maybe about 500,000 to 100,000, something like that. But, you know, because of the challenges that we had, you know, within the party, that's the reason why we ended up where we were. So that's the way we look at it.
Well, it is obvious from what you are saying that you worked very hard and so on in the state. But you're now, there's an issue that you have brought up here, and that is that in Nigerian politics, it is not how well you work for the people, but how well you work the political alliances in the state. Mm. So, how do you reconcile building schools and building all kinds of infrastructure, tending to the poor and all of that, and then when it comes to election, you discover that all of that mean nothing, because what is important is not what you work, what you do, but how you work the politics. Because some people have said there is politics of governance and there is politics of election. Mm. So people have worked very hard and failed at election. We have a number of them. So how did you transit from the politics of governance to the politics of election? And how has it been?
Well, from what you have seen, Sam, from the period when we had the elections, we went through to do a lot of reconciliations. And I'm sure you have seen all the three, the three governors, you know, the sitting governor, that's myself, and the two previous governors that were having one problem or the other have now reconciled and we're all together. So it took a lot of effort to be able to reconcile those. You know, it started when my two predecessors, Senator Abdullahi Adamu and Senator Tanko Almakura, wanted the national chairmanship of our party. And that was the beginning of one problem after another. You know, and it led, you know, into so many other problems down the line. But from what I think you have seen recently, you know, everyone has reconciled. For the past 2 months or so, every meeting that we had that meeting, all the three of us together. Now, there are some that out of anger left our party and went to another party. We have also done so much in the process of bringing them back into the party. You know, we have two SDP senators today, and they were actually APC staff. Some of them even campaigned for APC, you know, during the election, both at the presidential level and at the governorship level. But they campaigned for themselves for the senatorial seats, and so they won. So those people also, you know, efforts have been made to ensure we bring them back. So it takes a lot of period and effort to be able to reconcile and bring all these people. So right now you can see that most of those people that even left are returning into the party. I know you've seen recently, even some of the big guns within the PDP are coming back into our party. Recently you have seen Senator Ewuga, you know, who was one-time senator, one-time deputy governor, and one of the strongest pillars of the PDP, also is back into our party. You know, so those are the kinds of things that we continue to do in order to strengthen the party before another election comes.